Hi, I'm John Henry, Chief Analytics Officer with Convr. I lead the data science team here. I'm a former actuary, data scientist, and math professor, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Convr's risk scores. This is a look at a demo environment. There's some businesses that have been entered here, some sample submissions. A user here can enter the name and address of a new business to look up. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at one that I've already entered here, and we're going to look at our risk scores. For this company, we first see some answers. That's a separate product. But if I click onto Risk 360 here, we see some cards. Each one of them has information about the insured or the potential insured. First, we see on the left-hand side some class codes. And if you hover over those, you see where the codes are coming from. The first is our own internal machine learning model. The next is a firmographic data provider, Department of Labor, and so on. And if one scrolls through here, an underwriter is able to obtain a lot of useful information to help them make decisions about a business. So we see, for example, licenses and permits. If we click on these cards, we're able to drill down and learn more about that information. There's some social media reviews, digital footprint score. That's a measure of how much information we have about the business. But today I want to focus on some of the risk scores that we offer here. This trucking company, we have some information in our out-of-the-box Risk 360 product about inspections and some violations and accidents. The commercial auto card over here, the risk score card, is an additional feature. We see here a score of 55. The scores go from 0 to 100, 0 being the least risky, 100 being the most risky. This one here is about at the median of the population. So the score of 50 would be exactly in the center there. So if we click on that, we can learn a little more about what that means. On the left-hand side is some of the information about data that's going into the machine learning models that produce these risk scores. On the right-hand side, we get a look at the distribution. Here's where this risk falls, score of 55 or 56. It actually means that it has a lower risk than the average of the universe, and I'll say more about that in a second. The vertical axis shows us this risk relativity, and a relativity of 1 is our average risk. So that happens at around a score of 73 or 74. So this score we're looking at here, while it's a little above the median of the distribution, it's still less than the average. So the average being greater than the median is very common in the insurance world. The distribution of risks is often skewed or heavy-tailed, and we typically see this kind of relationship. If this risk had been out here further to the right, out in the 90s, we see it's much greater than the average. If you go from a 95 or 96 out to a 97 or 98, we see a real rise in the risk here. So sometimes we've worked with underwriters or insurers to design rules around, what to exclude if these are too risky out here in the tail. Some of these better risks that are far better than the average, those are good candidates for straight-through processing. Similar to the commercial auto risk score, if we go down here to workers' comp, we've got another workplace safety score. So this would apply to, of course, non-trucking type companies as well. But it's a similar interpretation. This score of 88 means that is, riskier than the median. That's closer to the most extreme risks. Only about 12% of businesses more risky. And we can see here that relativity is a little greater than 2, meaning it's about 110% greater risk than the average. And again, on the left-hand side, we see some of the stuff going into that. So we've got different risk scoring models for different lines of business. We're forecasting phenomena 1 year into the future. So predicting things like injuries, fatalities, accidents, violations. And that's how we arrive at our risk scores and work with our customers to help implement these to make better decisions and do so faster. We've also worked with them to embed these in underwriting rules and pricing models, and have other risk scores that I didn't show here, but mine safety is another one that we have available and are in progress now of creating new risk. There's a lot underwriting teams can learn from our Risk 360 product and our risk scores and risk relativities. I know you'll find value in it. I hope this helps clarify how Convr is building readily accessible models for your use. Thanks for joining me for this quick demo. If you have questions or if you'd like some additional information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at john.henry@convr.com.